we need to know ourselves. We need to find out our aim and our purpose. Then we can feel successful. Hi, I'm Tom Soul, and you are listening to the Social Seed Podcast. Right away, you need to pat yourself on the back for listening to something on social media that will help your life. And with that, let's dive into today's episode of Redefining Success, a journey from childhood to adulthood. And we will start off with Anne Sweeney's quote, "Define success on your own terms. Achieve it by your own rules and build a life you're proud to live." End quote. And once again, that was by Anne Sweeney. And that's what we're going to do today. We are going to define success. And success is different from everybody. So what we're going to learn at the end is that we each define our own success. Because you may believe that success is the millionaire, the person who owns his own business, the person who just has a family, who's happy with life, the teacher who helps kids in school, the aid worker who, is in another country helping other people, doing a self-sacrifice. That's what they determine is their life success. And for each one of us, that's what we're going to find. And we can start off with, what is success? The definition is the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. So to do this, we need to know ourselves. We need to find out our aim and our purpose. And when we do that, then we can feel successful. No matter what anyone thinks of you, no matter what anyone else sees, it's about how you feel, what you think is success for you. So what I'm going to do is travel back to when we were a child and talk about nature and nurture and how these things have helped to define our lives. And I'm also going to talk about the stages of our life. Throughout different ages, we go through certain growing periods and we pick up traits and abilities along the way. And I'm also going to talk about parental influences because they're with us our whole life. They have a lot to do with who we are today. And then I'm going to talk about self-inspiration, finding ourselves, developing our own minds so that we can redefine what success is to us. So let's get in with nature. That is our DNA. It's what we are given by our parents. It's our hair color, our skin color, our eye color, our height, kind of like our strength, but that depends on a lot of other things that we do, and our temperament. So it has a lot to do with life because people judge people, right? How we look is how we get treated sometimes. And that is definitely something that we have to get through in life, but it does affect us throughout our childhood and our adulthood. I mean, I know that I'm subconscious about things, and I'm sure other people are subconscious about those things too. And I feel that we are probably harder on ourselves or look at something which we consider a defect more than other people think that it's a defect. It's because we see it and we think about it. And that's just something that we have to get over in life. And then we have nurture, which is our environment, where we grow up, the people that we're influenced by, our experiences, our culture, which country we live in, because people have different ways of living life. Success is going to mean different things to each one of us. Some people are happy just because they have a roof over their heads. Some people are never happy until they own the world. And how we're brought up and the environment that we live in kind of helps determine those thoughts because of what we've seen, how we see people treat other people. And they're just our personal experiences that collect in our subconscious that they fill up a jar in our mind that says they spit out this person of who we are today. And that's who we are when we look in the mirror, how we act when we're out socializing, and how we think about ourselves. And then each one of those, the nature versus nurture, affects us through our stages of life. Because I'm going to talk about the infancy stage, which is the first stage. The second stage is early childhood. The third stage is middle childhood. The fourth stage is adolescence. The fifth stage is early adulthood, and that's where I'm stopping today because I'm just barely past early adulthood. So I can't speak on the other terms well enough, so I'm not going to go there. But to start off, infancy, and that's described as the ages between 0 and 2. At this point in life, we're just born. Everything is new to us. Our minds and our abilities are growing, right, at an ever increasing rate. It's probably the fastest they're going to grow. And at this point in our life, it has a lot to determine how we're going to be when we grow up. Doesn't mean that's who we're going to be, but when you think about it, our cognitive skills, when we're at that age, are people reading to us for us to understand language? Are we being handled so that, we feel that warmth inside? Are we being let to crawl and exercise? Because I think of this as like a seed. When you plant the seed, if you give it plenty of water, fertile soil, and sun and nutrients, then it grows. But if you don't give it that nutrients, that soil, the sunlight, the water, then it doesn't grow as well. And that's why it's important, our stages of life, to understand what we went through and how to help our children for the future. So giving your kids that social aspect of talking to them so that they learn languages, reading to them so they hear more words, holding them so they feel the warmth of your skin, and just feeling safe and nice. Because whether or not we like to admit it, we all love a good hug. And then we move on to early childhood, which is the stages of between 2 and 6. And at this point, it's important because, kids start to play with other kids. They really start to pick up the language. And if they don't get to socialize with other peers, then they don't understand how to socialize very well. And it may be hard for them later on in life. So letting your kid get out, get dirty, hurt themselves a little bit, get into trouble, they start to figure out the boundaries at this point, and they get a little social awareness. And I think the most important thing is the social aspect of making friends, having that comfort and being able to get along with others, I think is important at this early childhood stage. So for me, when I was younger, I moved around. My dad was in the military, so I would move somewhere every, 3 to 4 years. And it was tough for me because I had to make new friends everywhere I went. And so you have to fit in wherever you go, and especially when you're moving from different states. And I'm sure my accent was a little different because, I was moving from southern states to northern states, and the school systems were different. So it was a challenge for me. Every 3 years, I had to move. So it affected me. But eventually, I would make friends and I would get along and have fun with people again. But it's a tough stage on that 2 to 6 period of making new friends. And then you move on to middle childhood, which is 6 to 12. And this is when kids start to go into school. They get their formal education and they build more complex relationships with other friends. And this is where I believe, you start to meet some good friends if you are some friends that are going to be long-term friends if you live in a stable environment where you don't move around a lot. And I found that when I moved to Rhode Island, where I stayed there for a long time, even though I did move out of towns. But I found some really good friends in North Kingstown because that's where I stayed for a long time. And, they played soccer. I didn't play soccer, and that's the way it was in our town. But eventually, I found my spot and I had a great time. And it was great playing in some of the sport activities where I get to build teamwork, and you get more friends, and, getting those friends make you feel comfortable, and it makes you more social. And it helped me, I think, to become the person I am today, feeling comfortable talking to people like you on the internet because I was socialized, for that time period. And I got through my struggle of not being able to, or to moving from state to state, making new friends all the time. And I was there long enough to build that skill and feel comfortable. And then you get to the adolescent stage, which is between the years of 12 and 18. And at that point, we start to become more autonomous. We figure out what we do like, what we don't like. We start telling our parents, I don't want to wear that to school, because before we kind of were just dressed by our parents. And now we have an opinion. And that's great, because that means that you're using your mind. And using your mind is what we want you to do here today, is to figure out the things that are you, who you really are. And by being able to use your mind and become your own person, you live your own life. And it's tough for kids at that point, because parents kind of know the dangers and we know what to look for, and we just want the best for our children. And at the same time, they're trying to be more adventurous and get out and become more autonomous and find themselves. So it's a tough arrangement from at that point. So are we as a parents willing to let them find themselves, or are we going to hold them back and not let them figure out who they are and get through those tough challenges that I think children need to get through? But sometimes it is hard to let go. And then we get to early adulthood, which is 18 to 40. And I'm actually past that point right now by 8 years. But hey, I was there. And I remember at age 18 that I thought I was on top of the world. I thought I knew everything. And my parents, yeah, they didn't know anything. And I was doing, a lot of things with my friends that probably is not the safest thing in the world. We were jumping off bridges. Um, one summer we just went everywhere and jumped off a bunch of bridges, and we went swimming anywhere that we could possibly find. And, it was a great time, but my parents had no clue that I was doing this. But you know what? Those memories, they stayed with me until today. I love thinking about them, because although I would not do them now, because some of them were just, dangerous, jumping off a bridge by like Queens River. And, it's like 45, 50 feet. And who knows what's down there? We didn't think about rocks and stuff. We just said, hey, he jumped off. He didn't get hurt. And then so we would all jump off. And the same thing there's a bridge by Narragansett. I think they don't allow you to do this anymore. But, there's a crazy current going through there. It's by Narrow River. And we would jump off that. And I had a friend, Mike, he would do backflips off of it. He was crazy. And we all did it. We had a blast. And we would used to jump off the old Jamestown Bridge, where they had the, I don't know how it's called, but it was the metal structure you can climb up, and we jump off the different stages. And I think I got up to like stage 2 or 3. It's about 40, 45 feet up. And we would jump off the bridge, and it was just fun. And we did cliff jumping, and that's even more dangerous. I actually never jumped off the cliff by Fort Wetherall. And I'm kind of glad that one actually looked dangerous. I'm glad I was able to use my abilities to say, this is too dangerous. I don't actually want to die today, but I want to have fun. So I'd go there a lot, but never did that. So it's an important stage throughout your life, the 18 to 40, especially when you're younger, the 18. And as you get older, you go through a lot of things. You build relationships. You maybe further your education by going to college. Or you can, have a family, and, that's all determined, a lot of it, by how we grew up. And a big influence when we grew up were our parents. They fed us, they clothed us, they gave us transportation, they dictated, asked us basically what sports we wanted to do. And if they couldn't afford a sport that we really wanted to do, then we couldn't do that sport. Or if, like me, I wanted to play guitar when I was younger, my parents, they didn't afford to buy me a guitar. They bought me many other things, and they dressed me, and I had, a great life. But, I never got that guitar. And I brought this up in other episodes, so if they ever watch this, they're probably like, man, that really affected that kid. But yeah, these are some things that, I wanted, that I felt like were me. And I, if I look back and I think about, man, if I was playing guitar since I was 8, maybe, and when I first looked into the Sears catalog, then, what would I be today? And that's, it's kind of how it is. I didn't get the chance, and that's okay. I'm perfectly fine with that. I have a guitar today, and I'm choosing to work on my podcast and help other people more than my guitar lessons, although I do plan on doing that at some point. But the whole focus of this is to figure out who you want to be. What life do you want to live? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to eat well? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want to dress well? Do you like nice things? Are you going to be nice to people? Are you helpful? And yeah, you just want to figure out who you are. And to do this, you need to do a little inward work, a little mental thinking, a little self-development in your own mind, and ask yourself some important questions. Who am I? What do I want in life? And what's important to me? And by answering these questions, you can help yourself redefine what success is to you. Because back in the day when I owned a pizza restaurant, then I had a lot of high school and college students who would come up and ask me, they'd say, Tom, what should I do? What should I go to school for? And I used to have the answer, based on what they were good at and how much money they wanted to make. And although those are important factors because you want to do something that you enjoy, you want to make enough money to afford your life. But I think the third thing is most important, and that's happiness. What can you do that can give you all three things? That can give you enough money, that can use the traits that you have and your abilities, and that gives you happiness. And that's going to be really important. And also, to redefine your life, you got to figure out what's important to you. Is your family important to you? Is traveling important to you? Is being healthy important to you? Is helping others important to you? Taking into account everything in your life that's important to you and figuring out a life plan of how you want to implement that is going to help you to redefine your success in life. And it will constantly evolve because as you get older, your mind grows. You want different things. You see different things. You want to give back to the community. You want to give back to others. Just like today, I want to help you. I want to help you to get an early start. Or if you're older than me or as old as me, if you haven't done this yet, to really start to think about what makes you happy, how you want your life to be, and how you can direct your desires, your efforts to do that. Because this life, although it seems kind of long, it's very short. And I think most of our life we lived based on other people's influences and our environment. But at some point, you're going to realize that you want to live life for you, what's important to you. And by doing that, I think that not only can you make yourself happy, you're going to make everyone else around you happy. All right, that's it for today. Hopefully you like this podcast. If you can, hit the subscribe button. If you like this podcast, hit the like button. Give me a comment down below. You can find me on Facebook, and you can find me on thesocialseedpodcast.com. Other than that, have a great day. Live your life. Have fun. Be happy. Bye.